Hi, today I want to look at how to protect your children from child protection. I broke my arm, so I'm limited with what I can and can't do in preparing. So bear with me, because I'm just printed out one of my blogs that I had covered the topic on, and I thought, like the other blog I made into a video, to make this one into a video. So I will read through it as I talk and share more, because I wrote this blog in June 2012, so it's 4 years ago, but not much has changed, so I may have learnt a little bit more as well. So we'll see how we get on anyway. So the blog, if you want to find it, is on higherinsightblogspot.com, but it'll be a number, I can't remember which number it is. How to protect children from child protection. So I wrote it Thursday the 7th of June 2012. I have now it says I've now created a website that you can visit at higherinsight.webs.com. That website is still in existence, although I'm working on other things at the moment, because again, that's not really suitable. Right, so I wrote this blog. It says, I write this blog in hope to raise awareness of the criminal situation going on throughout the world. Some readers may be aware of the alarming number of children being stolen by social services, removed from families for unjust reasons, witnessing how the care service together collude in lying, the care services should I say, work together and collude in lying and distorting the truth, even fabricating reasons to remove the children based on untruth, which yes is what I've seen, witnessed, experienced. I experienced it through the case that I took on, which you can find also on YouTube or on Blogspot, and that's called Paedophile Rings Hidden in the British care system, which is the case that I covered, and it went on and on and on, and it still goes on today. But I learned since then that it's happening everywhere, and like all over the country, all over the world really, although I sort of know it as happening more in like England, America, Canada, but I'm sure it's happening in other places where social services are creating a situation to take the child away, take the child into care, and it's done in a very sinister way where they're lying, and if they have to, and putting pressure, it's sinister. So anyway, I don't really want to go into that, because this is about how to protect people that are under that, looking to how to protect themselves, how to protect their children, how to survive this sort of onslaught. So it says, I have personal experience of how this is orchestrated myself, and witnessed how all services work together, united in one aim to remove the child, and also how they use seemingly ordinary members of the public, neighbours, family, or to further their aims, working to an agenda that has nothing to do with the interests of the child, but for some bigger agenda, far greater than people are being made aware of. The removal of children and placing them in the care of select abusers, whom are from cult families. I mean, yes, this is it. The children are taken away, put into care. Now they're either put into care homes, and some don't even actually get into the care home. They get lost in the system. That social services often are losing children, but it's not being reported. So where are their children going? That's another video, but I just want to say the enormity of it. So then also they take them and put them in with carers. Now the carer that they put the child that I dealt with was big part of the mind control programming cult family system, but sometimes like they can just put them with carers who seem okay on the surface, but they're cult too. They may not even know that they're cult. It's so sinister, so hidden, and gone on for so long, yeah, but let's deal with it. As I say, the removal of children are placing them in care of select abusers, whom are from cult families involved in trauma-based mind control and or government mind control. Because the thing is, yes, no one really wants to cover it, but it's the fact of the matter is there's government mind control going on, has been going on for a long while, and it's based on trauma-based way of controlling someone. If you traumatize someone enough, the mind will split off and cut off from what's happening, and therefore you create like an alternative personality, an altered ego, which then you can access any time if you know how, and the person who has that alternate ego won't even know that they've been accessed. So this is how mind control works. The government have been programming, traumatizing children from birth, as well as the cult, but they're doing it big in the social services system, where they can just get the children, isolate the mothers, get the children, well, usually the mothers, can be the fathers, but they isolate the subject, create an illusion of a case, and then take the child into for programming. And they work collectively with it. So the child undergoing severe inhuman abuse whilst working with previously created alters, leaving them unknowingly programmed slaves. Meanwhile, many believe they have been lovingly with lovely foster carers and adoptive parents or care workers. So the child grows up with no awareness of this going on. I mean, the child that I worked with, yes, they was aware of what was going on, but that's because we've got them returned by age 3. But programming can take, like, it can be hidden after about age 5. But I mean, that's a complicated one in itself as well. That's another angle of what they're covering. Meanwhile, they may believe they have lovely foster parents and nice care workers, because all the care workers that they'll be provided will be part of that, so they'll treat them nice, and the child will be oblivious. So as I say, I covered all of the case that I dealt with, and it often comes under the title of Paedophile Ring Hidden in the British Care System, which is a blog and also videos. There's many videos I've done on YouTube for it. And then also I did do a blog and another video called British Care System Creating the Mind Control Slaves. So again, I covered how they do that. So in my struggle to seek healthcare help for the child abused this way, I witnessed all roads provided to us to use in our social system are blocked by rules and regulations, and categories of responsibility are absent. So yes, when the child that I worked with was returned after a long court battle to revoke the care order that they had, that's when we discovered that she'd been programmed, and that's when I learnt of all this going on. She complained of pain in her vaginal area, so she needed paediatric help. But this is when we learnt that no, all the system was working together, and none of them were going to let an open to discover the cause of her pain or help her, really. Which that opened me up to knowing what was going on. And yes, it's all like down to rules and regulations, because when we'd asked for the paediatrician, they didn't give them. Then when they in the case conferences, they'd argue, well, we were making it up, and we, therefore we're putting the children at risk by making up such things were going on. Because we couldn't prove it, and of course we couldn't prove it because we couldn't take photos of the child, because that wasn't allowed legislation, and they'd take the child straight away. Yes, the legislation basically is all in place to stop you getting what you need. In following each path available for justice within I reached Tony Blair, MI5 and Home Office, Scotland Yard, the GMC, chief executives of each borough involved. So yes, I followed the correct procedures in reporting above and above, but they're not answerable to anyone, social services, and so they're answerable, yes, to the chief execs of the boroughs, but I wrote to them, they didn't respond, and so forth. So it went all the way that I wrote to Tony Blair and CC'd it to MI5 and David Blunkett at the time, and really that was shrugged off, and I uploaded the letters I wrote there and their responses on a blog called Tony Blair's Response to Truth Being Informed of Paedophile Rings Hidden Within Social Services. And I wrote another blog on how Police Complaints Authority handled the case, which was a letter to the Police Complaints Authority saying, you know, can you look at it, because no one's really dealing with this. This is like such an illegal thing going on, and no one. But that, as you'll read, it didn't really work either. What did work in the end was we refused to go to the case conference and so forth because they were just twisting up the words that we were saying, and instead we went through asking the council to deal with it, and that led to them ignoring, the chief execs ignored the request, so therefore we could go to the ombudsman, the London ombudsman, and then they didn't want the case, because they wrote back and said, oh, you've got to give them 3 months to try and do what you're asking for. And then all of a sudden social services closed the case, said the children were so happy and they didn't need to deal with them no more, and yes, they would arrange a paediatrician for the child, but they didn't want to know the results, and close the case. So it was how we got the case closed, through the ombudsman. So my assumption is that maybe the ombudsman didn't want it in his in tray. So the rules around media coverage also, I tried going to newspapers to say, look, this is what's going on, and la la la, and they said, no, we can't do anything without evidence, because we've been down that road before and we got in trouble, so we need the evidence, which you would need the care professionals to give the evidence of, because we wasn't in a position to prove the evidence. We needed a paediatrician to say what they saw. But through the jumping hoops, through the ombudsman, yes, we did get a paediatrician, but even that all twisted up, which isn't in a blog yet, is in a note form somewhere on Facebook. But yes, basically you can't go to the media unless you've got evidence, and you can't get evidence because they won't give you the evidence, or it's very hard to, I mean, it's not in every case I suppose, but in that case, yes, it was very hard to prove. With regards to the use of lawyers, good lawyers are hard to obtain, and if they're, you know, this is often the case with people that are having their children taken, is they seek lawyers. Lawyers also work for social services. So what happens is, if you choose a lawyer that also works for social services, sometimes defending them, then who is their biggest, you know, purchaser of their time? And you know, at the end of the day, that's the world we live in, is the lawyers are more concerned with the one who employs them regularly to fight cases, social services say, than they are for you. So therefore there's like a conflict of interests, and so it is hard to find a lawyer who will fight your corner in these cases. I say, with regards to the use of lawyers, good lawyers are hard to obtain, and this is compounded by the fact that social services use the same lawyers sometimes. So if the lawyer represents them in other cases for that borough, they will experience social services leaning on them, and they can be, because they are regular customers, whereas a member of the public, they will not be seen again. In the interest of business, they often do not fight as hard or refuse to take the cases by saying their caseload is full, which yes, I've experienced as well. So you might find a really good lawyer, but then when you bring them a case like that, they're like, our caseload's full, we can't be taking cases like that. So it's hard to find a lawyer who will fight your case properly, and the good lawyers, yes. Then you've got, when you get in the courts, it's not like a normal court, that they're secret family courts, and no one's allowed to say what goes on in the court, or what was said in the court, which isn't the case in other courts. You can have a journalist come in, you can have other members of the public witness it, but this is secret. And if you do say what goes on in the court, they can imprison you for it. And there are people that are imprisoned for disclosing what has gone on in these secret family courts. And often, yes, the judges are also in collusion with helping the agenda, because this is a cult. It's not really social services or even government. It goes much higher than that, and it's child trafficking, child programming, and they're free, and they'll have the ones they want. Often when the children are adopted out, they go to Freemasons. This is all sort of joins to the Freemasons also. There's been a steady increase in the number of children being taken. There are people speaking out regarding the children being stolen aspects, both here in the UK and in the US. But it is global, and it is a global industry, because it's trafficking. It's trafficking of children and using them for whatever they wish. I mean, yes. A select few speakers are easily to view on the internet and some alternative TV channels, but they tend to be only focused on child taking aspects, omitting the SRA and mind control. Now, yeah, since I wrote that, a lot has sort of panned out in this country anyway, is that it's like in the internet, like what I speak out will be hidden, will not be easily found, will be suppressed, where there's others out there that are speaking out, and it seems that they just have to say boo and it'll get thousands and billions of hits, and that's all orchestrated puppets too, which I did write another blog on, but I can't think of the name of it, where I cover this, because basically, yes, we did have rallies here against child abuse, but that was all sort of set up scams. I mean, they used someone I know well, Shiva Burton, and she set up the first children's rally, and she was, determined to deal with child abuse, but it was really only used as a stepping stone, as a platform for others to stand up on and put these puppets on the stage, the ones that are not going to really talk about mind control. And they encouraged me to come to them rallies when I was with the children that I'd helped to protect. So I said no, I couldn't come, and they said, you can come in disguise, but everyone would have known through the case. But the following year, after I lost everything, I did speak out, but the footage was never used, and it was. I mean, I'll get to that. But basically, those that speak out on the mind control aspects of it, they're not. It's like they're encouraged to speak in them arenas, but when they speak out, that bit's lost, damaged, contaminated, not used, not important, and their own spin doctors or puppets, spin puppets, are used on that platform. And then, well, they do admit the SRA, but really it's like in recent years what they did was they built a case, Holly Gregg case, and then they've built this case now, Hampstead Hoax case or something, I don't know. I mean, I saw it all from the beginning, and I got hooked into it because it was sent to me when it first come out, both of them cases, for me to see, and so I took it on face value. And yes, I do feel like that the victims, the children, and Holly Gregg's, they're real. What they're saying is real, but it's a puppet show. It's like they're using real victims to create the puppet show, to then draw the energy from everyone who wants to help those people, and then smash it all to pulp so people don't trust anything, because basically people see that, oh no, that one's on some tip and that one's on that tip, and it just divides and disperses all the energy, but they spin it, and then they spin and play everyone against each other. It's ugly. So I tried to stay clear of it, but meanwhile the satanic ritual abuse, SRA, does go on, and what the victims, like those children spoke of, does go on, and also the government mind control goes on big time, but no one is really getting the voice on that heard. it's as if it is getting heard sometimes via site like the USA, but not in the UK. Oh no, we couldn't possibly have it going on here. So recently here in Britain there's a very well I've covered Holly Gregg's, which many supporters the campaign. So they build the campaign and then they just shatter the support. Anyway, I've explained that. And yes, I mean, I need to cover that at some point, I suppose, because what they're doing is also, I see, is they're orchestrating these cases to make it that they can bring in rules. I don't want to go there now, because I'm trying to help you protect the children. You don't need to know about all the plans. That's another video. In my opinion, it is necessary for the public to grasp the enormity of what is going on and how the whole picture that includes SRA, mind control, occult practices and gang stalking, for it is all these things involved to gain control of the population locally and globally. So I said I spoke at a rally, UK rally against child abuse 2011. I said here last year. But even though there was at least 3 film crews concerned to raise public awareness, none have uploaded the footage of my speech. Some didn't even film my speech. The only footage currently available in a short clip film was a passerby at a distance. And yes, I found it by fluke, looking at, well, what did you put up of me when I spoke out? And I mean, I had to put myself on the line and stand up in Trafalgar Square and speak out of what was going on. I saw it as, right, this is my opportunity, so I said everything. They filmed it and then claimed, oh, it was contaminated. And then meanwhile, someone else, Bill Maloney, he had his woman who does the filming film him, because he asked could he speak before me a couple of minutes, so I said yes. And then so she filmed him speaking, and then they introduced myself, so you hear the first few lines of my existence as he goes down the stairs, but that's been removed. Anything that contains anything on me has been removed, other than this guy who happened to be passing by and a distance filmed a bit of the speech. So that's on one of my playlists, and you can find it via the blog. I might link it somehow. Anyway, basically I spoke out, and none of the footage got uploaded and things got removed. So the following year, 2012, which would have been just before maybe I made this blog, or maybe after, there's a video that I put on here, I can't remember what I called it now, but it's explaining how that all operates and how charities operate. And I'll link it in with that little bit you have in the corner, so that you can find that video. I can't remember what it's called. There was a previous footage of events where I am introduced, and although cameras were not on me, I could be heard, but it has since been removed for public viewing. Okay, I've just said that one. And then there was another rally, another little march thing the year before around this Holly Gregg's and all that, where I spoke out, and then that footage got removed, but I already had a copy of it, so I've put it up. I think I've called it Breaking the Silence on MK Ultra or something. I mean, it's just me saying, oh, they're all involved, even Esther Ransom, before she was sort of implicated, or whatever the word is. Right, so my experience of silencing is clearly visible in the number of hits. So receiving videos and posts on YouTube remaining very low. They're still really low. Maybe, I don't know, anyway, not registering the true picture of people's views, because what happens is they just stop the counters, and therefore it looks like, you're not really getting viewed, so disheartened, I suppose. Along with this, much work I have had added on the internet by my service name Higher Insight. Prior to me voicing on this matter, there was only one other site. Okay, that's all going into, it doesn't really matter, but basically they used my name to ride on and removed my websites. They keep disappearing. Anyway, they keep going on. The case I took on involved a black child, hence I witnessed the links to other aspects regarding African children, and her mother, being from the Caribbean, also gained insight into connections there. The child's father was Asian, and yet I learnt it of Asian, and yes, I also learnt of Asian connections, but truly this is a global matter. So yes, because the child was black and the carer who was involved in the programming was from Ghana, therefore I got to experience it from African sort of the level of gang stalking and so forth, but because they knew that they were involved in the case, but it helped me because so much on the internet is like sort of steering as if, oh, it's a white problem, as if only white people are programmed, only white people belong to cult. No, it's global, international, lots of ritual places in Africa, lots of training places in Africa for like mind-controlled assassins and so forth, like military type camps, lots of ritual sites and that. So but people are like they're not being encouraged to join them dots. And then the same with the Caribbean and with Asia. It's like international, but it's like they're making it look like it's just a white thing, and that serves to steer the public the wrong way. Again, professionals involved in these crimes are from many countries and are made up of all races. This is because they are actually DID, whether they are aware of it or not. Thus, I learned that social workers I previously perceived as good workers, later I met in regard to this case, and they changed their name or claimed to be other than I previously met. Yes, so I mean, firstly, yes, of course it can be any race, because you're basically dealing with DID, and DID, which used to be called multiple personality disorder. Disorder, I don't know, but basically it's what I talked about earlier, where if you traumatise a person enough in very young, then they will split off that part that has the trauma, and that part can then be accessed as a separate personality, which the person won't know of, and the persons who do know of can then utilise that personality and so forth. And so this is a whole science that has been going on for centuries, for thousands of years, really, from time began. But the Nazis sort of started to make it like a science and study how much you can push people to their limits, I suppose. But in the satanic ritual abuse cults, then that's what's been going on for time, of creating these altars to go attend rituals, so that people who do attend the rituals don't know they go to the rituals. I mean, not many people are aware of what they're doing. So this is the case, and this is why it's any race. It don't really discriminate. It's a defence mechanism in humans. Not everyone's got that defence mechanism. If you haven't, you just go nuts or die when they traumatise you. So to split off would be the best option. And yes, with the social workers, when I dealt with the case, what I saw was sometimes I'd see social workers that I already knew, because I'd worked for about 7 years already with crack cocaine in the borough with all the social workers that were there, or most of them, so I recognised them. So when they'd come for that case, then I would see, oh, I know you and you're okay, and then they'd change their tune, or they'd change their name. And I'd be, oh, you changed your name. And then once I went to a case conference, and there was a social worker there I'd never met before, and she claimed to be a social worker that I did know, a manager of an area in that borough. She claimed to be her, and I knew she wasn't her because she's completely different looking. And I said, you're not her, but she said no, she was her, and that she'd changed her hair. So there you go. I said no more because it was a case conference, but there you go. It helps to explain, because you may see it as a parent, you may see the social worker and then you think, well, how can they be so horrible, or they've changed, or they've lied and they've twisted it, and how can they be, because it's like so ugly. But it's about really you're knowing that maybe when they're attending, they're in a different altar, they're in a different personality that they may not even be aware that what they're involved in, because they go as a different person, so they don't know. I mean, I've seen extreme things, people change looks and images and all that. And yes, we're getting into that, but I'll get to that later, because it's so out there, really. But if you're under it, you start seeing all these strange things. So, the hosting altar, that's the front personality, the hosting altars they came with were ones of coldness hidden behind a friendly exterior. So yeah, often they'll be so nice, it's like a bit too nice, that they come and they're asking you all nice questions, and no, there won't be no worries, but it's like it's fake. And so you buy into it because you're reading it, and it's like, even if you're really good at reading people, it's hard to read through because it's so fake but so hidden. It's hard to explain, but those that have experienced it will know what I'm saying. So the hosting altar came when there were ones of coldness hidden behind a friendly exterior. Their conduct was often inappropriate, e.g. laughing inappropriately or lying. So yeah, they could smile at you and be laughing when it's not something that should be laughed at, but it's like it's taunting you to respond so that they can say that you're laughing inappropriate or lying. They'll lie, and then you'll say, no, it's a lie, and they'll go, no. So, and then they bring, I mean, when we had them come, they'd come two up, so there'd always be two, so then they've got their supportive one go, oh yes, and they'll laugh too, or they'll lie too. So they were unprofessional, but knew they were supported by the superiors, and therefore it is only when a case becomes public, that if public like that, which involves the death of a victim, like Colombia, the child that the bottom pawn takes the rap for the service failure in the case. So yeah, they carry on so rude. Sometimes they're so arrogant, and it's like, how can you sleep at night? How can you be like that? But they know that they're doing what their superiors have told them to come and do, and the higher up you go in this, the more corrupt it gets, the more dirty it gets, and you wouldn't reach the top unless you was as dirty as them. So yeah, in the Colombia case, the woman at the bottom, the social worker at the bottom, that was just following rules, she was the one that got punished. She was the one that lost her job, I think. I can't remember. It wasn't a case I dealt with. But, and I know I've heard that, you know, the top woman, she was like promoted and got everything great, and, you know, because that's how it works. So, cult loyalty is more important than anything their other alters may wish to value. So yes, because you know, their life's on the line if they don't follow the rules anyway. So on to whom they target. Well, they can make use of any child, and so isolated parents are easy pickings. So yes, because they can use any child, even though the child can't be programmed, they can use the child to just, for a ritual, for a sacrifice, you know. I mean, this is how they go on. So they isolate, yeah. Also, it's not just the professionals involved in a systematic operation by gaining custody of the child that are DID, knowingly or unknowingly, working on the behalf of the cult. So yes, they may not even be aware, and I don't think many are aware. I mean, I do ponder over that, because I know people who do these, and it's like, do you know what you do? They don't know what they do, and it's like, I don't quite know how that all works, but I know that many don't know what they're doing. But this is how the large percentage of the population are controlled. Although DID is extremely well hidden to such an extent that the psychiatric community in this country are reluctant to even recognise it. So yeah, this is the problem, because it's like the extent of DID, as they call it, in the world is enormous, and meanwhile you've got psychiatry, funny enough, not wishing to acknowledge it exists in some areas. Like in some boroughs they will diagnose people with DID, and in other boroughs, no, it don't exist, you've got bipolar, you've got everything but DID. And because if they acknowledge that it exists, that people can have separate personalities, then they've got to deal with it differently. And it opens up a whole can of worms, and I think they are going to open them worm cans up. I think they want to, but they'll distort it, and there won't be no government mind controlling it. It will be just some little pocket cults going on, maybe, or a little bit of trauma cause it. I mean, I'm reading this anyway, which in itself is an aspect of DID. So the denial of the psychiatric units, psychiatrist is DID, and the psychiatrists are often DID because that's how the Tavistock set everything up. So, for it is a human unconscious defence mechanism constituting denial, and where enough trauma is induced, an individual will go beyond denial into complete disassociation from, becoming unaware of the trauma even took place. So yes, because it's like we're working with denial that it's like people, I'll say things and often people, no, you can't say that, you're nuts, you're mad, that's crazy. And then when it comes into the public, like for years I'm going, oh yes, well, you know, there's a load of paedophile ring working within the government and and you know, people don't want it to be true. And now it's all come out, or some's come out because of Jimmy Savile, little bits are coming out. It's like, oh, you were correct. And it's like, oh yes, but it's like they need it. And then there's some program on telly now, I don't know, on the line or something, I don't know what it's called. So now, oh yes, I am correct. But it's like, but they're still, I'm not going to watch it because they're still going to be hiding the fact that there's government mind control. So at the moment they're working on discrediting any talk of satanic ritual abuse ever going on. There's no such thing as that. But there is, and even in the government levels, in the underground bases, then they will still use satanic rituals and to like program a child, they will use satanic, and because they want them to attach to demons and so forth. And so that's all done on the government level. I mean, it's like, it's not like, oh, we're only going to do it that way. So this is going to be a long video, isn't it? But I'll keep going. So this is what is orchestrated as mind control, slavery, and takes off and the taking of the disassociated daughter and utilising them to further any illicit act that the slave is oblivious to. Thus, slave master puppeteers are able to hide behind the slaves, and even the puppeteers may well have slave masters controlling too, until, like a hierarchy pyramid structure, where hardly anyone is aware of who is at the top and pulling the strings. So, to explain that, they've created the puppet with the child, so they've created a separate order. So when that child, they can use that child for sexual abuse, for espionage, to be an assassin, to whatever they want their dirty work done. So they get that child to do these things. The child's oblivious to what they're doing. The person who's controlling them can be oblivious that they're even involved too, because they've got someone controlling them. So it goes up and up. Although there's not loads and loads of levels, but it does go higher and higher, is my point. And so each is oblivious to what they're doing sometimes to the other, although yes, some do know what they're doing. So some people do wake up, because sometimes you'll get a little bit of seepage, you'll get the memories coming through in someone, but they may start remembering things and they're so horrific that they think, no, that can't be true, no, that's my mind's playing tricks on me. And then they go, who can they tell, because it sounds too nuts. But in truth, that a lot of the time what people are thinking is just their mind playing tricks is actually what happened. And so this is what waking up. But then if the cult realise that you're waking up, they'll make sure you don't wake up and do things to wipe your memory again, or to readjust your programming and so forth. So if they get wind of someone waking up, then they deal with it. People like Bob Marley, he was waking up, and so they dealt with him. So they wake, yes. So some people do wake up, do see the strings, and instead of denying them, they face them and they try to cut themselves free. And it is also those individual slaves whom they then control via the threats of losing their children to the cult system in place, and with the use of the emotional blackmail double bind, they are held in a sticky web and no win choice situation. So fundamental to all mind control programming, the offer of choice, that an individual would choose none of, given the real choice. So yes, those that do wake up, then what they'll do is, a lot of the time they've helped you to have the child that they want you to have, really, and so they'll threaten to take your child if you don't go along with what they want, and they'll offer to return the child if you go along with. And often, people aren't even aware that all these threats are going on, because they're going on in your alternative altar. So the front of you, who's losing the child, is not even aware of these deals going on. And their choices are always bad or worse, and neither would you choose. They don't give you nice choices. So it might be like, we killed this child, or we killed that child, or you killed that child. Which do you choose? So it's like, and then they say, well, you chose, because they know about free will and they're playing with free will. But I'm sure the Lord understands that it's like, that's not real free will, is it? Anyway, I wrote about mind control in another blog. I haven't made it into a video yet, called Busted the Bubbles on Mind Control. So there's another one, that's Higher Insight 4.blogspot.co.uk. So I have loads of Higher Insight 1, 2, 3, up to about 35 I think they go now. So let's look at it. Gang stalking. Gang stalking can also be brought to the parents' awareness, either very subtly, then slowly built, or heavy 24/7 harassment. So yeah, for some people it's just a gradual, like they're showing you that they're on your case, so they might mess with your phone a little bit, and then a little bit more, until you realise you've got no phone, and then you find another means to communicate, and then they'll gradually work on that. So sometimes they do it gradually, other times just overnight, it's all bam. This is up to them, it's nothing to do with you. So they can arrange for interference with correspondence or communication. They can have Jehovah's Witness knock at your door, salespeople, electric meter readers, all of this. They choose the time that they come, and whatever. There might be more involved there. Whilst pressure accompanying it from services, and also can involve creating street drama and numerous people on a journey using the same trigger, whether this is a hand signal or a mannerism of a cough, a sniff, a spoken word. So yes, what often you'll get is like street theatre, where there's like a drama going on in the street that's around you, or they could be calling you names, or everyone that you see could be like doing that or something, and that would be a hand signal, and it's like then the alternative alters inside you know what that hand signal means. So it might be one that scares you, say, or triggers an illness in you or something, but people don't understand the mind control aspect of it. So often they think, well, why do people do all that? And sometimes it can be just to condition you, to show that they're everywhere, because they want you to think that they're everywhere and they have everything covered. So, and they are in a lot of places, but they haven't got everything, but they want you to think they've got everything. So that gives the illusion, if everyone's picking their nose, they're at the same time, you think that, well, you start to notice it. And then if you tell people, oh, they were picking their nose, they say, well, people pick their nose. Do you know what I mean? So you look nuts all the way. So it's to isolate you and to make you be aware without you being able to speak out about what's going on. So along with these conducts are just naturally occurring but repeatedly witnessed throughout the day on a daily basis, it becomes clear to the targeted individual that something else is going on. But to express this becomes very hard, and without witnesses one can be perceived as paranoid. And that's the idea, so that you could maybe end up paranoid, or at least look paranoid, sound paranoid. You will, you won't be so relaxed in life. And then they'll use neighbours as also is common, and they may or may not be DID, cult loyal, but when respected professionals have quiet words with them. So yes, you'll have them, the social worker might knock next door, and well, blah blah blah, and quiet word, and then they can just they'll know, them people, because they're cult, they'll know exactly who they are and what they're about, and so they can tell them, oh, you done whatever it is that they dislike about people, you know, then they can say it about you, can spread any rubbish they want. And so yeah, sometimes you'll get people and they're knocking on their wall, knocking, and then you think, well, why would they knock on their wall? But it's all, they don't even maybe know they're knocking on their wall. It could be that they're DID too, so there's an altar in them that knocks on the wall every day at 9 o'clock or something like that. Also, electronically they can make it sound like they're knocking on the wall, and so then you get annoyed with the neighbours for knocking on the wall when they wasn't knocking on the wall ever, but it was done electronically. So they have these capacities, and sometimes it's hard to discern what they are doing. Like, you know, is it someone knocking on the wall, or is it electronically done, or other? So they'll spread slander on you, and then the neighbours won't like you, and then that helps to create prejudice and gossip, and ultimately isolate you. So again, I've done another blog on this gang stalking aspects of the paedophile ring hidden in the British care system, and I made a video on YouTube on the gang, same title. I'll put it on the video as I put it together. And then I did another blog, surveillance, gang stalking, call it what you will. This is partly how it's done, and I made that into a video too recently. So that's a gang stalking aspect. Now the occult practices involved is, the occult practices may also be introduced, and often targets are left unsure as to what is truly the case, the cause of events. Say there is a power cut in their home, what is the cause? So yeah, you might, if you're under occult attack, you see, then occult demons will work on electronics and all that, but then the same as the Masons can have someone working in like the electric ball wherever, I don't know, and they can play with it. So then you don't really know what's causing it, or it could be just a normal power cut that everyone's getting. So you're not really sure. So you're left sort of with this mind, and I mean, when it comes to occult, I was told by someone who knows the occult well, 95% of it is just the mind, playing tricks with the mind, only 5% is other. I mean, who knows? But yes, they're playing with their mind. So then also you get sleep deprivation, a major sort element, sought often by the oppressor, for it renders the individual more controllable, along with food, fluid, and deprivation would be their ultimate goal. So yes, if they're working to weaken you, so that they can get your children, or for whatever other reasons, then they will attack on your sleep. So often targeted individuals have issues with sleeping, and it could be triggered mind control memories, or it could be many things, but basically yes, they can do it through occult means too, because the night becomes more powerful for that. And also they would try to get you to not eat and to not drink, because to control someone, especially in mind control, would be to get them sleep deprived, food deprived, and fluid deprived. That's how they would have you, to program you initially, because it weakens you. And when it's a mind controlled slave being targeted, previous programs in illness to disable the target will be triggered, induced to add to the stress. And yes, most slaves are oblivious to their programming, so don't know the true cause of their symptom. So yeah, they would trigger illnesses. So sometimes you have to question even your illness, like even my broken eye. It's like, that's always been since I was a child, that yes, my arm breaks or sprains, fingers break. I broke both wrists last year, I broke this one this year, and it could be they just break, but although my bone density is fine. So different illnesses can be triggered off to stop you, to weaken you. Slaves are used for many things. Many children and females are used as sex slaves, and others are used just for the sole purpose of controlling others, either via gang stalking techniques or just reporting back on what they see. Cult slaves are raised in cult families, and the family's awareness of such involvement also is hidden via alters from themselves. So yes, it's like they're raised in a family. The whole family is cult. So, but everyone in the family can be oblivious that they're involved in a cult, because that's another stage of cult. You can become aware of conscious, like they call it co-conscious. You can become co-conscious of what you do and what you're involved in, which is a bit like selling your soul. And then you will know what you do. Otherwise you would have a separate altar. But obviously if you agree to selling your soul, then you've got a whole heap more to do for their little satanic agenda. Again, this is a pyramidal hierarchy structure, starting with individuals within families that are belonging to the cults, which are run by higher ranking cults up until they reach the pinnacle. So yeah, I mean, because it's not one system, and this is where you get into, you'll have people who get confused, because it's not one big system, it's a network of all little or bigger cults. So it's like Masons, it's like there's different levels, some are higher than others, some are equal to others. It's pyramidal in structure. It's the same with the cult, pyramidal in structure. So you may be different levels in that structure, your family. But they all join together like a tree. Anyway, many no doubt felt, therefore, after becoming aware of this happening directly or indirectly, ask what can they do to defend themselves from this form of persecution. Well, I'm happy to say that there is something we can do to defend ourselves. So yeah, what I'm saying there is many parents, or you might be a target for many reasons, but if you're targeted for your children, this is what this video is for, then you wonder, well, what can you do? You don't know what to do. They make you feel like there's nothing you can do, you know. So I'm going to try and tell you what you can do, because there is things you can do to help yourself. And becoming aware of how things operate, one is better able to perceive what is truly going on, and thus this information I provide here will give you an overview of the bigger picture. Knowing they are all around you is not something that should leave you paranoid, but should serve to heighten your awareness of your reality. Instead of being blinkered by the painted illusion we are all fed regarding the ways of the world via school, TV, newspapers, social conditioning, orchestrated by the same people in power. So yes, by knowing how something works, by knowing, you know, because it's like we've been fed an illusion of how the world works, and they're continuing to feed us the illusion. They feed us it in newspaper. I've got to fix the curtain just a sec. They feed it in newspapers, they feed it in they feed it in just a sec, got to do. Right, yeah, they feed it in, they feed us from birth in newspapers. I mean, now they're giving, you know, children in nursery school, so they're feeding the mind on how to perceive things, and they're distorting the truth, because they've got a lovely government, haven't we? And they all care for us, and a lovely health service that really cares for us. So, and so forth. Social services really care for those little children. So, therefore, if you understand what's going on, then you get a clearer picture, don't you? If your glasses, I mean, have a laugh at my glasses, because now I've got prism glasses where one of my eyes don't want to look at the world. And so, yes, you have to get to focus on the truth. And if you don't know these things, then how can you even see the wood for the trees? So hopefully I'm trying to show you how it looks from the bigger picture. So, right. Do not be fooled by grinning teeth, for behind them may not be a smile. The workers used within the care profession to carry out these dirty deeds are DID, with MC alters, MC mind control alters. If one appears to be scum, that's my language, sorry. If one appears to be a scum, it is a strong indicator that all are involved are. So yes, if you're getting like this sort of experience of distorted social worker behaviour, they're all involved. And I mean, they may not know what they're involved in, but if they're not, if you do by chance get a social worker who's not DID, not part of the cult, it's very unlikely they're going to be even given to your case, especially if they're out to get you, you know, into a position where they can take your child. But if the social worker is like oblivious, if you was to make them aware of in any way of what they're involved in, they would run or they would be taken off the case. So they don't stay long, so I've seen that too. So yes, they're all, even though some, oh she's nice, or no, it's all game. It's like good cop, bad cop. If one appears to be, then a strong indicator they're all involved. Yes, sometimes they do use frontline staff, that is not, but they soon get rid of these workers if you become aware of the bigger picture. So yeah, sometimes they'll use ones that ain't involved. What you'll see is they'll keep changing the workers as well. That can happen. They keep one set and then they change it to the next set, because then there's like no accountability, because it's like, well no, it weren't my case no more, and so forth. So they're not silly, been doing it for years. Lawyers give advice and it's worth listening to, but they have to work within the remits of the law, and they will use tried and tested methods, but your case is individually tailored to you and will be adapted according to how you respond to the standard orchestrated plan. So yeah, I mean, this way of taking the children, it is done in a sort of, they have got a systematic way of going about things, and so you will find that, you know, amongst parents that have lost their children, that they've been set up in very similar ways. So there's like a sort of template for each way to go about it. But at the end of the day, we're all individuals, so as well there'd be a bit of, you know, adapting to the individual. When it comes to lawyers, they may say, well, I can't advise you to do that. It doesn't mean that you should always follow what the lawyer says, because the lawyer can only tell you what to do within the law. That doesn't mean you go and break the laws, but they may not be able to advise you to do things like not attend the case conferences, because that's what they would normally advise someone. Oh, if you don't attend, then you're going to lose your child. But in our case, then we didn't attend, and we wrote and said we're not going to attend anymore because you're not listening anyway and you're twisting everything we say. And so it depends. So it's about listening to what they say, but being willing to think for yourself. You are in a different position. You can bend the rules where they can't, and I point out here, bending rules where lawyers can't is not the same as breaking the law. Always remember, guidelines and laws are two different things. My advice is take the lawyer's knowledge and then listen to your own intuition, divine guidance on each step you take, evaluating each move you make every step of the way like you're playing a game of chess. Because be sure their masters are. Use your strengths against their weaknesses. They may feel overpoweringly strong, but always there is a weakness in their structure. Here I will point out a few. So yes, it's like, you know, I kind of feel, oh, you know, talk about it like it's a game. It is a game. It is a game. To them, it's a game. And it's sick because it's your children that are involved. It's human beings that are involved. But this is how they work it, is like a game of chess. So it's about knowing that, and then knowing, well, you will have strengths, and they will have weaknesses, because it's just by the nature of things. It's like they can only do what their superiors tell them to do. You don't have to, so you can move at a very quick speed. You can, you know, you can leave your house for a week if you wish, where they can't leave things for a week. You can do things that they can't, and they can do things that you can't. So it's about knowing that. Right. Anyway, these are the things that you can do on a personal level. So the first level, some I've talked about elsewhere, is wear sunglasses, because they're trained in NLP, neuralistic programming. They're going to be watching your eye movements when they interact with you, and they might, as I hear, they might try to create a false sense of security and safety, and meanwhile wait for the opportunity to opportune movement to fire their question. So basically, they're watching your eyes. So they watch your eyes and they'll be, oh yes, nice and polite. Oh, that must have been terrible. Oh yes, 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 tell us more. Oh, we were so sorry for you. And so they'll be softening you. And when they read in your eye movements, and your brain will have your eyes go in different directions depending on where you're accessing the information from. So they can read what's going on and whether you're making it up and whether, all the ideas. So anyway, when they get the right time, when they've got you trusting them, that's when they'll ask you a question that will throw you. And you'll wonder how they did it. They did it to me once and it was like, how did you do that? And then I had to learn. So then they'll ask you a question and you'll be off guard. But the dark glasses will cause some difficulty for them to do this because they can't see your eyes. Also, in street, people may use to come and read you, and they gain much information from your eyes. so yes, even in the street, they can have people come and, could you tell me the way to the co-op, right? And then when you explain, they're reading you. They can read your emotion, your strength. Are you happy? Are you irritated? Are you telling them no, I ain't talking to you? Or whatever. They can read you and then they feedback and then they get a sense of what order you're in, how you're doing and so forth. So again, if you're wearing glasses, they can't see where you're at and you can read someone's eyes, so they gain information from your eyes. Don't feel any way about wearing sunglasses indoors. Remember, it's your child's life you are defending, and thus need to be prepared to do things by any means necessary, because this is surely social services stance. So again, even if they're in the house, if like social services, wear your sunglasses, don't care. And it's like you might certain glasses indoors. It doesn't matter. We did it, and we'd wear sunglasses. And then what happened was it was a education inspector, because we home educated, best two. And she came round, and when she came round, we both had our sunglasses on. So, hello, yes, what would you like to see if they work? And then she put her sunglasses on as well, because yes. So it's like, wear your sunglasses. Don't worry, don't feel no way. It's like, you may have to look a bit, but it doesn't matter. So 2, that was number 1, I numbered them. 2, even use clear glass can help you somewhat. For although it may sound strange to you, some people can read through your eye signals. I know this may sound crazy, but I want to share all I can, so I will try and explain in general terms. So it is, say someone is watching you from across the park, from across the room, from across the cafe, and they're staring at you, you can sense it, and there's something, I don't know what it is, but there's some sort of frequency stuff that's going on, that's coming from the eyes, I fear. And therefore, even if you wear clear glass, it stops that, because we're dealing with the occult, we're dealing with demonics, we're dealing with out of, the flesh and blood world. That's what they're relying on or using. So it's about, yes, wear clear glass even. Number 3, buy a dictaphone. You can now purchase them cheap in the stores and no longer need to keep buying cassettes. Because you used to have to buy these little cassettes to put in them when we were doing it. But now, no, you can buy the dictaphone. And buy the dictaphone. Don't be using the internet, because as well, people tend to, I can do that on my iPhone, I can do that on my notepad, I can do... All these things are feeding right back into their system again, and therefore it can be deleted. So I found that no, you're better off to buy a proper dictaphone that works on batteries, and you can just stick it in your bra, stick it in your pocket, stick it wherever, and record. And then it's like, it's not dependent, no one else can hear what you're recording, it's just private to you, and you can store it on little chips nowadays, isn't it? So it's like, it don't even take up much space. So carry it with you, especially when you interact with professionals. So as I say, put it in your bra. It's not illegal to do it. Yeah, I mean, they might make it illegal, or yes, well, it's not illegal to have a dictaphone on you, and so it's like, and what I found is that these social workers, and it will be the demonic involved, these social workers, they would sense, they would know that you've got a dictaphone, and they would hold their mouth. So then that makes the interaction better because it's more sincere, because where they'd lie and laugh, it's like, oh, okay, carry on, talk to dictaphone. And it actually keeps you, because they're trying to trigger you to get into this raw state where you're like, no, because they're after your children, so of course you're going to be a bit fiery. And then they want that, because then they go, oh, she's hostile, she's aggressive. And of course, if you've got the dictaphone playing, then you actually you'll know you've got it recording, and therefore you will tailor and hold your mouth a bit better. So it helps you to take control of your mouth, and it also, yes, you don't have to tell them, they know somehow that you have the dictaphone in your pocket. So yes, and then of course it can be used for evidence, and okay, yes, they'll say no, you can't use that in the court, but it doesn't matter, because it exists in reality, and that is a start. And if they say, oh, I didn't say that, then you can, well, you may, I can prove you did because I got it on a dictaphone. Also remember to use it if you have to make a phone call. So if you need to phone social services or whatever authorities, record the phone call. So remember to use it then, but don't really be using phones, because then they'll say they didn't get the phone call, and it's like phones open up a whole area for them to play with you. Oh, we sent you a message. Oh, we didn't send you a message. Oh, we didn't get yours. So just say you can't be contacted by phone. That's what we did. And yes, once the social worker saw the phone sitting on the shelf, and it's like, what? We said we couldn't be contacted by phone. Don't mean we ain't got a phone. Can't be contacted. That's the truth. Because we don't want to be contacted, so we can't be contacted by phone. So you want everything in writing, and then you want to put everything in writing, and when you do write to respond to them, send it recorded delivery, because then they can't claim that they didn't receive it, because they like to claim, oh no, we never got that letter. So, or hand deliver, often I did hand delivery, and obviously keep copies for yourself. So that's number 4, is when you make the phone call, record it. Number 5, when corresponding with any professional, keep a copy of letters sent, and also send all letters to them recorded delivery. Yes, it does cost, but they are unable to claim they never received it. Also, if the letter is of great importance, select other professionals that you can CC the copy to demonstrate they are being watched. Therefore, choose professionals higher up in the ladder. Yes, they may write to say you don't need to do this, but politely state you in further correspondence that you feel it is necessary. So yes, when you write a letter, if it's an important letter, like a statement or something, then CC it to the head of social services or the chief executive of the borough. Or like when I wrote to Tony Blair, I CC'd it to MI5 and David Blunkett. They have to respond. And it's sort of saying, look, because if you just send it to them, then they say, oh, I didn't. But if you CC it, it's like, well, they're watching you too. Plus, it's like, yeah, take it higher and higher, because I don't want to be touched with it. They want the little plebs at the bottom to take the raps for it if they get caught. So you just go higher, and then sometimes I've had it with the GMC, and we involved them, and then they were writing back saying, no, you don't need to involve us, you don't need to CC us a copy. No, we do. So we feel it's necessary that we do. So don't feel no way. It's a bit of paper, stamp, yes, costing money, but they're your children. So 6, keep a folder of all correspondence and make notes of when you receive and when you send it, etc. It can help build a picture of a greater strategy being used. So like use as well a diary. And I mean, now you can scan in the letters and that. When I was doing it, you didn't have all them things, but now you can buy a scanner, 30 quid Tesco's, right? Scan in the documents that come, and then they're all on a little chip, which you can, chippy little chip, and then you can put the paperwork away somewhere in a box somewhere. You don't need it all in visual, but you need the copy to be easy accessible. And then also keep a diary of because these people are Masonic. They're occult and Masonic, so they're playing with time and date. They used to like come in at 11:30 and 2:15. I don't know why, but that was their times they really liked to use. So they'll use Masonic dates, they'll use your birthdays, your children's birthdays, they'll use numbers. So if you start writing down when you received the letter, when so forth, these things, then you will see a pattern emerge, and through that pattern it's again back to, if you understand, then you understand your opponents, then you understand how to deal with it, you know, deal with that pattern. Yes, I had something go through my head but I can't remember what it was now. But yes, follow the patterns. Put up CCTV cameras in your home where possible. Insist on home visits so you can record it. Again, it's not illegal. Now the thing is, I wrote it's not illegal, and I don't think it is illegal to put cameras up indoors, and you can have cameras up indoors and you can have cameras outside. But when I spoke to the man at Matalan or somewhere like that, where I was talking about CCTV cameras, and he said, oh no, you have to have a sign up. Now I don't really know whether that's a law that you have to have a sign of your shop, or whether you have to have a sign in your home saying CCTV cameras are in their home, right? If you do, if you want to follow laws, if you do, then get a little label and stick it like they do small print. Just stick it on the door, stick it on your window. It's like, there you go, there you go, I've got it written, you didn't read small print, sorry. So I don't know whether you should, or your law says you should, I don't know anymore. So, but you can record everything. So again, it's about asking home visits, because if you home visits, then you can record because it's your home. So you want them to do the home visits, and then again, yes, I know that we used to film the home visits, and they were aware the cameras were there. They didn't acknowledge them, they didn't say anything, but they were aware. And again, it curbs their behaviour. Although when we got when we got our raid by the police, which was a bit, it was an afternoon, we was having our tea, and then they knocked and wanted to come in through the window, so we was like, no, we're having a tea, go away. So then they climbed in through the window, because they wouldn't let go of the window, so they climbed in and they disconnected the CCTV camera, so they knew it was there, and they came upstairs while we was eating our dinner, and then after they'd done all their million questions, then they produced this document that they filled out, Detective Trap, right, saying that they had got a search warrant, but they hadn't gone to a judge, a search warrant to search the house. So I don't know what they were searching for. The children, they were sitting there eating their dinner too. So I don't know. Anyway, that's, but yes, they know the CCTV cameras there. Right. So number 8 is gang stalking. May be used also to be, so be cautious of who and what you share with strangers, neighbours, even some members of your family. Try to be polite to all, for they may be told lies regarding you or BMC themselves, so be cautious. So yeah, it's like, try to be as normal as possible, because when you are to the neighbour or whatever, it's like, yeah, you might go, well, I've got a right to, blah blah blah, but they just see moody, like she is aggressive, and then you fit into, so it's not condemning you if you do, because please, but it's about trying to be as peaceful and calm as possible, and knowing that when someone in the street is asking you questions, be careful of, you know, they might just look like a stranger, but they might be sent to collect data. So be careful of what you say. You can talk, but be careful. MC slayers are everywhere, but remember, their agenda would be to isolate you. So network best you can, but with awareness that lies may be given regarding you. So be sure the lies your enemies come up with will be those that whom they tell would have an issue with. So yeah, it's like, be aware. It's like, if the people don't like racists, they tell them, oh, you're racist. If they don't like whatever it is, it's like, you know, so be careful. And then yeah, well, I won't go there. With regards to the occult aspects of the attacks they may be using against you, these are best tackled by elements using such as earth, fire, air and water, and of course prayer. I mean, I'm Christian, so I would pray to Jesus, but prayer, you know, asking for help, because this is also, they're coming from a spiritual level, so you have to ask for, you know, and prayer is powerful. But there's also elements involved, so it's worth looking at. Elements for earth, fire, air and water. When you feel you may be under attack, apply one of the more of these solutions and find ones that work in a given time. So sometimes, yeah, you don't really know what the attack, you may feel that you're being attacked, say, you may feel it inside. Now it might be an altar that's creating the feeling, it may be that you're being attacked, say, spiritually, and sometimes they're using, in that world, they're using elements to attack with, but sometimes you can counteract it. Yes, with prayer you can ask to break the workings that they're doing, but yes, so you've got, sometimes you don't know what the attack is what I'm trying to say. So sometimes it's good to try and eliminate, because it's one of them. So you can look at earth. So if you're feeling under attack, go on the earth, go outside in your garden if you've got a garden, or go for a walk, just get on earth, and that can help to dispel, disperse what they've done, and remove it. Air, open your windows, go out again in the air. I mean, it's good to go out, and they try their hardest to get you to stay in, because they want you isolated in your little box, in your home, you know, curtains closed, all this rubbish, right? That's how they want it. Then you don't know anyone, then the neighbours, oh, look at them, and their curtains are closed and you never speak to them, and right? Fire, light a candle, or incense, frankincense and myrrh. Well, that's what I learned from others, of, you know, demons don't like frankincense and myrrh. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's what I've learned, and that's what I would burn. And then I don't know, but this is what we were doing then, and I've learned lots since I wrote this. Water, have a bath ideally, but shower or wet your head if you're experiencing headaches, and the wet scarf around. So yes, sometimes people feel attacked, may feel like they're being beaten up or something, and it may be an old memory of being beaten up, or it may be that you're being beaten up spiritually. And often if you submerge in water in a bath or something, it reduces it, and water over your head. I don't quite know why, but it does. And therefore sometimes you can't really have in a bath all the time, or maybe, you know, you might get attacked while social services come, that you get severe headaches, and it may be again altars inside, as I say, but it may be that while they're visiting there's like psychic attack going on, and you can't be having a bath because they're visiting. So then what's good is to like wet a cloth, a scarf or something, and wrap it round your head, and then somehow that helps. Sometimes, if that's the element that can work with it, sometimes it don't. And as I say, pray. So pray for protection. Pray, I mean, because I will pray to Jesus, but I don't want people, oh well, you know, now she's not talking to me because we're not following all that. And there's lots of reasons why people don't even follow Christianity and la 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 la, and they may have been raised in a different religion. So I don't really want to get into all that, because, you know, either way I want you to get your children. It doesn't matter. So, and some of these things work, but so if you are going to pray, then pray, I mean, if you're Christian, then pray that you're covered in the blood of Jesus Christ. Seal all your portals in the blood of Jesus Christ. Fill you with the Holy Spirit. Remember to ask him for forgiveness for all your sins, to clear that. So again, it's praying, praying for protection. Right. I did do a blog and a video, Occult Aspects of the Paedophile Case, and so yeah, that's a Higher Insight 2.blogspot.co.uk, and it's also a video on YouTube. So now sleep deprivation. So again, as I say, they will target around your sleep. And with regards to sleep deprivation, you can wear eye covers, because some people, they can't see, it's like as if they can't get darkness. And it will be to do with programming, very likely, that they left you with your eyes in the light and so forth. But that's for you to recall. Until you recall, wear a cover over your eyes. Go to bed early, before 11 o'clock, we learned, would make such a difference. It's as if, you know, I think the witching hour is between 1 and 3 or something. But it's like, it's as if once you get into dark times, night time, it's as if then they become more powerful. Maybe they practice more, maybe they're not, you know, having to go to work and not so busy. I don't know why, but it's as if you stay awake after 11 o'clock, it's harder to get to sleep, whereas if you go to sleep before, it's easier. So try and go to bed easier. If not, well, so when you're trying to sleep, there is the herbs again, which is what I used to help calm crack users down and drug, you know, like heroin addiction withdrawals. So when it comes to sleep, they also help again. So I'll put up the name, so you can buy them and take a bag of them at night, and they'll help, because they help you calm down. Anything that's going to help you calm down. So it's about, yes, do things that are calming before you go to bed, and meditate. I mean, yes, you know, if Christian, then you have meditate with Jesus, but if not, then meditate. But I mean, yes, it opens up portals, but it also, I'm talking about just meditate to just calm down, just, you know, breathe deeply, see something nice in your mind, maybe, you know, and even if you don't sleep, try to meditate, for this helps to somewhat to reduce the risk of becoming easier to control. So yes, even if you can't sleep, just try to relax, just try to listen to something that, I mean, I find if I listen to something that I'm not really meant to be listening to, like when I was trying to listen to the Bible, I had a thyroid that went off the Richter scale, because I slept 20 hours a day, because some things, if you're programmed, some things you're not meant to hear, and if you can find them and you listen to them, they send you to sleep. Or that can be the case, that some part of you sends you to sleep so you don't listen, which is fine, because then you use whatever sends you to sleep to get to sleep with. Right. There is other blogs that I've written here. Insight into tactics used against MK Ultra slaves who refuse to sell. That's a blog that I've got, higherinsight14.blogspot.co.uk. And also Fire on Babylon, crack altars are activated in unruly slaves. That's higherinsight13.blogspot.co.uk. I mean, they're ways that they work with mind controlled what are they? Mind controlled slaves. If you don't play ball, if you don't do things how they want, you know, sometimes, as I say, they'll be taking your children, but they're also, to do that, they can trigger off things like drug addiction that was put in early ages, or yes, to use. So yes, them blogs are worth looking at. And then there's another one, deprogramming made easy-ish. Because yes, if you realise in your mind controlled, you might want to deprogram, which is not easy at all. It's extremely hard, but I tried to simplify. I mean, this blog I read long ago, so it needs updating. I learned a lot more since then, but it's the basics of how to start to deprogram if you can. That's higherinsight11.blogspot.co.uk. Nearly done. Don't know how long this video is, but it is. So another blog is using a child's deprogrammed memory gives you insight into the processes involved. That's higherinsight12.blogspot.co.uk, and that was where I deprogrammed the child that I managed to get the care order revoked on from Child Social Services, the one I'm talking about that's programmed, and through deprogramming a lot of what she could remember I wrote up what we gleaned. Well, I think I've covered it. I think I've covered it. I hope that some of that helps. I hope that if anything comes to me as I put the video together, I'll add it somehow. And yes, I always feel like I've not done enough. But that's the gist of what you can do to help yourself if they're after your children or something other. Because I mean, it could be for other things. But that was what the blog was written for. I hope you all could glean something from it, and I hope I haven't rambled comprehensively. I don't think so, and I wish you goodbye. Bye bye.